Hey, what's up everybody? Mr. B here with Montezuma Martial Arts Academy. So we are getting into our orange to purple belt technique. So today I want to talk about the stances that we need in order to advance from our purple belt to our orange belt to our purple belt. So we're going to go ahead and start off with our forward stance. So when you're in a good forward stance, if you're taking a stance that you already know, like your guard stance, okay, your forward stance is a bit of an exaggeration. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and point those front toes. I like to step out just outside shoulder width a little bit, and then I want to make sure that my back foot is also outside my shoulders just a teeny tiny bit, but I'm looking for a square. I want to be about as wide as I am long. And then because it's a forward stance, we want everything going forward. All 10 toes forward, my hips should be forward, my shoulders should be forward, okay? Then ideally I want my front knee bent over my toes, okay? Not back here just a little bit. When you look down, okay, you should not be able to see your toes at all. That's how much pressure you should have on the front. Now, for that back leg should be fully extended and locked out. And then you want to make sure that your heel is touching the ground. So when you look at it from the side here, again, moving from my guard stance, I step my front foot just outside of shoulder width. I turn my back foot just outside. Then I'm going to bend that front knee so that when I look down, okay, I cannot see my toes. From here, I'm going to make sure that all 10 toes on my back foot are forward, and then I'm going to make sure hips, toes, shoulders, everything is facing front. This is our forward stance. Now, the forward stance, we can make a lot of mistakes. Okay, so one of the things is, that I notice a lot, is that heel coming up off the ground. If your heel is coming up off the ground, that's generally an indicator that you're too long, okay? And you want to pull yourself forward so that heel comes up. So you want to shorten up a little bit. Another good indicator is that you're making a mistake is that you're kind of wobbly side to side. That generally means that you're too narrow and you need to widen up a little bit. Now, if you don't feel a stretch in your back leg, that generally means that you're way too wide. Okay, so you want to feel a little bit of stretch in that calf muscle. If you're missing that stretch sensation, you're too wide. Okay, another good indicator that you're too long is that you have trouble getting all 10 toes forward. So if your back foot, if your toes start to point out this way, that is generally an indicator that you're still too long. Most people make the mistake of being too narrow and too long in their forward stance. So again, my good rule of thumb, just outside of shoulder width on the front, just outside of shoulder width on the back, and then dial in your length based on how that stretching sensation feels when you put that pressure over your front knee. So all 10 toes forward, shoulders and hips forward, eyes forward, that is your forward stance. Now, our next stance is going to be our back stance. Now, there's a lot of ways that you can perform a back stance. You'll see a lot of people put their toes and their heels on the same line, just like so, okay, here, and then they'll also put about 60-40 weight on the back, okay? Sometimes even as much as 70-30, and you'll even see people almost kind of raise up on the ball of their foot, kind of like a cat stance. Now, that's all well and good if that is what your instructor is teaching. I don't have any problems with it at all. I personally don't like it because when you're perfectly sideways, you take away your ability to react with your back foot and your backhand. So in our style, we like to have a little bit of depth to our back stance. So that way we have a nice rotation into our forward stance, which makes it a lot cleaner and a lot faster. But our backhand and our back foot have a lane in order to be engaged in the fight. We didn't just turn sideways and take those options away from us. So how I like to do a back stance in our style is I'll take my forward stance and I'll find it. And basically all I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my back toes so that my feet are on perpendicular angle. And then I like to sit like a horse stance, okay? Now from here, I've got a nice good chop that I add, and I'm trying to bend my knees as close to parallel as possible. The other thing that you're looking for is to avoid letting your shoulders go forward. You want to try and keep them back and transfer your weight with your knees so that you can keep your posture. All right, that is what we're looking for in our back stance. So only 2 stances to move from orange to purple. By now you're starting to rack up a pretty big list of requirements that you still need to practice. So you still have all of your white belt stances, all of your yellow belt stances, and these 2 stances are where we start getting into our athleticism, because these are difficult to hold. And they're also difficult to move in, which is what we're going to require for our footwork requirements when we get to that video. Anyway, guys, make sure you're liking and subscribing. Make sure you tell your friends. Until next time, train hard, fight fast, score first. Awesome.